welcome to Derp Derp and Friends Reviews. I'm Derp Derp.
I'm Skeenerd, and my head is chopped off. There I am. Oh, I need to comb my hair, don't
Today we reviewed The Spaceman.
I? Way better. Yeah, Spaceman. I thought it was going to be more actiony than what happened. It was more
Drama.
drama and philosophic overall, I thought it was a good movie. Um, all right. That's our review. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. What?
Like, subscribe, comment. Help us reach our like goal of 1,000 likes to watch a season of One Piece. We are currently at 744 when I counted 2 hours ago.
Yep. And if you unlike the channel, I will be eternally grateful.
And for those that want to torture people, get your friends to like.
Please don't. I have a wife and kids.
Hazuma,
And 3 dogs.
I'm looking at you, Hazuma.
Please don't.
Welker. Ops.
And if I know any of you from D&D, I'm going to kill your characters. Somehow. I don't know how. But if I play with you, do what I do. You know who you are. I'll be out for blood.
Okay, let's get to the review.
Oh, yeah, right, the review. Wait, I thought we just finished the review. I thought we were done.
No.
I said it was an okay movie.
We need to actually go into the movie now.
Oh, right. Shit. Alright, well, the movie starts off with Adam Sandler. We find out he is a commander in this spaceship, and he's all alone. It's a one-man mission. And we learn about this cloud that appeared, I think they said 4 years ago.
Yep.
This mysterious
purple cloud.
Purple cloud that's from space, and it turned the sky all purple. And people were confused, and I guess every country wanted to send up their own crew, and Adam Sandler, crew of one, was able to get there first. This isn't really a spoiler, but later we learn the Koreans also launched a ship into space, and
about submarines just kind of invading. It's not exactly
submarines.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
They said submarines because when they asked, "Is it the Koreans?" they said submarines, not spaceships.
Oh, they called the spaceship submarines.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Or I think they're just talking about that it was that the Koreans were acting weird looking on Earth, like they were trying to do something.
Oh, I don't know. Well, that doesn't make any sense because Czechoslovakia is a landlocked country, but we all knew that, right? Anyways, so Adam Sandler is,
Jakob is his character name.
Yakov?
Yeah, Jakob.
Jakob. Oh, Jakob, like Jacob,
Yep.
but it's Jakob because he's from Czechoslovakia. So, basically, at the beginning, we learned he's in the ship and he's broadcasting to the world. He's talking to different students and he keeps getting questions and stuff like that. Why is that guy on your thing? Was he in the movie?
Yeah, he was Hannes.
Oh.
See?
Wait, who's that guy again? Okay, I just learned something. Great, awesome, wonderful. Anyways, he's broadcasting to these people, and all the school kids are asking. One of the school kids asks, "Oh, are you you must be the loneliest human?" And And he's like, no, I'm not lonely. I speak to my wife. I speak to you. I speak to Mission Control. I'm not lonely at all, which is a total BS lie. Um, and we find out that he is very lonely, and he's trying to contact his wife. However, his wife doesn't want to speak to him, and we learn that Mission Control is withholding one of the messages that she sent to him, and the message was, "I want to divorce you." And immediately, off the top of my head, I'm like, "Oh, this fucking bitch! You're gonna divorce this man who's in space, who's on a life or death mission in space." Now that's a bitch move right there. You don't do that. Come on, you knew he was going into space. What are you, crazy? That's just like the worst thing you can do to someone. Anyways, um, Adam Sandler or Yakov or
Yeah,
whatever, he's there to collect samples of this cloud and see what it's all about, because nobody knows what it is except that it's purple. That's it. Um, we also learned that he has sponsors. There's a lot of corporate sponsors that sponsored his flight. Um, he we see that he's in an anti-Queeze commercial, um, and we learn later that he's had, in order to use like a pesticide, he has to say the corporate line before it can be used, which is the dumbest thing ever. Because if it's an actual emergency, you have to say the corporate line, which was like 3 lines, at least. Yeah, three lines of dialogue. Like,
when,
holy crap.
when you should just have to say Bamba, which is the
Yeah,
name of
yeah,
it.
that's the brand of the pesticide. Um, anyways, yeah, I wrote down loneliest man. Uh, Bitch wife divorces him, because at the time I was pissed off, right? Um, Adam Sandler, Jakob, he misses his wife, and he's trying to message her, and this is where we find out that they have the technology to instantly transmit messages. He's near Jupiter, which is, as they said, 500,000 kilometers away.
Yep. And this is
And
like in the day 199 of his
yeah,
trip.
he's like over 6 months into his journey.
They said he was halfway at the beginning.
Yeah, because it's halfway there and then halfway back. So um, he was at that point. He was about a couple days before he was at the cloud, racing the other countries to get there first. Let's see. This is his wife. And then yeah, this is where we learn that the mission control is hiding the divorce, or hiding the divorce message, I should say, because they want to keep his morale up. Otherwise, he's gonna go. They know, like, if you're lonely and all of a sudden you have a loved one being like, "Oh, I don't want to be with you anymore." That's can be devastating and devastating to the mission. So it makes sense. Um, then that's when we get his first glimpse of a giant spider. Also, he has trouble sleeping because the bathroom keeps turning on and making a noise. So he goes in there and he sees a giant spider, and he's obviously hallucinating. Um, he's hallucinating. He sees this giant spider, opens the door, closes it, and it's like, all right, I don't think I saw that. And he opens it again, and the spider thing is still there. And he's freaked out by this. He's like, "Oh, hi, Mission Control. Hey, there's some contamination on board. We need to get the anti-contamination spray, which is 99.99999% effective in killing things." And so they decontaminate the ship. Um, yeah, corporation slogan. And then he reopens the door. He was because he had to go to the airlock for the decontamination thing. So he comes back in, and the spider's still there, and he's like, "Oh, fuck me, what the fuck?" Um, So it's still alive. Um, we don't know at this point if it's a hallucination or reality. Um, but soon we find that it is very real. Um, the However, one of the things that confuses confuses you is the spider's like, I cannot be touched. I want to. My tribe does not like to be touched. Its body must not be violated, so he can't touch the spider. So how does he know if the spider is real or not if he can't touch it, right? Um, the spider mentioned, it's also an explorer, and it discovered humans, and it's been studying humans. Um, but however, he was intrigued by Jakob's loneliness. It was a different sensation that he's never felt, and he wanted to continue studying Jakob. Um, and then there's like a flashback of his wife talking about amputation for whatever reason. Um, I don't know. I don't remember if she's a doctor or not. So it's kind of weird. Um, but we soon learned that the spider can see Jakob's memories, and that's kind of a good indication of like, oh shit, he can study that way. That's kind of cool. That's great. That's wonderful. Um, Meanwhile, back on Earth, his wife is talking to her mom, and his wife, I forget what her name is, like Susan or something. Um, she's pregnant. We learn that she's pregnant, and she wants to give birth um, to the kids in a like a convent
Yep.
place where there's other women who are pregnant who are lonely like she is. She just doesn't want to be alone. She wants to be with someone, and her husband is obviously 6 months away in fucking space. So that's a thing. Um, Learn about boundaries. Um, Jakob sets boundaries for the spider. He's like, you can't be in my place in my certain areas, like the bathroom. Um, Anthony Edwards gotta go. Let's go. Um, so he's like, you can't be in the bathroom. I don't want you to be in the bathroom. This is off limits. This is where I have my alone time. Along with his other boundary is his bedroom. And then the spider keeps talking to him more and more, and the spider's like, "Oh, do you have any like uh, avian like succulent things I can eat?" He's like, "What are you talking about? Like eggs?" He's like, "Yes, yes, eggs. They're very delicious." Or no, he hasn't tried one. He wants to try an egg, and he's like, and Jacob's like, they don't travel well. I don't have any eggs. So he offers him his chocolate hazel stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, this here, have this." Blah blah blah. Um, so the spider likes it and eats it, and the spider mentions its lost home. Um, he kind of explains why it's there and how its home was destroyed by these other creatures, and he's been floating around in space and stuff like that. Was that what's that guy? The dick
No,
guy? No. Okay.
those are boobs.
Oh, okay. Okay. Love sausage. That's
Well,
that's the boys.
Love sausage does not have that powers in the comics.
Okay. Anyways, the the spider also mentions that the cloud is no, also it contains the beginning, and it's the beginning is inside the cloud, and you can't explain it. You have to experience it. That's the only way to get any knowledge out of it, or any meaning out of it. And then this is where we find the spider can see the commander's thoughts, the Jakob's thoughts, and Jakob kind of gets freaked out by this, and he's like, "No, I don't want you reading my thoughts. This is stupid." He's like, "Oh, I'm only doing it for like educational purposes." Blah blah blah. And then he goes into it's basically a psychological link with with Jakob, and let's see. So sorry, a psychological link with Jakob, and he goes deep down. And he this is where he learns that humans lie, and he can't understand people lying and stuff like that. Um, and he says like, Jakob, you long for a mate only when your mate is gone, and it kind of gets in this whole thing of how Jakob was kind of brushing his wife off when he started to get the chance of going into space, and his wife was like, "No, I want you to stay here on Earth," and Jakob would always be dismissing of it and only thinking of himself. Um, and that's at this point, he gives the spider the name Hanush to communicate better. Let's see. Oh, and then it goes into Jakob's childhood. How he calls him Hanush because that was his father's name, and his dad was killed. Jakob mentions that his eyes were plucked out, and somebody bigger than him stole an invention of his, something about a time something machine. I don't really know, it kind of went by really fast, but something about a machine, whatever that is. Um, and then they start listening to an opera, and Hanush has never heard of an opera before, and he's telling the story about it was like an, a gnome or something like that wanted to be with a human woman but couldn't because it lived in a different world. Um, and that's what the opera was about. It was really weird. And Hanush was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like. Is this supposed to be a thing of what I am to you?" And I suppose it kind of is, because Hanush is from a different world than us. We don't know anything about Hanush's world or anything. And then we find Hanush in the quarantine zone of the bathroom. Um, he's he's like hugging the part of the machine that won't stop making noise, and these vibrations calm him. So Yakub is like, "Okay, you can you can be in here now because this machine calms you." Um, and then it kind of goes into more of Yakub's dad's story of how the Soviet Union fell, and as soon as that happened, his dad was killed because he was an informant for the Communist Party, and he walked on his dad being tortured to death, basically. Um, so, understandably, people were mad at his dad for you know killing and torturing their friends and stuff like that. Um, and then we get to a scene where um, the space commands, or what are they called? Not space command. Um, home command. Oh my god, I said it earlier. I can't remember the word. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Um, so this woman who's from space control or whatever, um, she talks to the wife, and she says, "Hey, we need you to send messages to your husband, even though even though you divorced him." And she's like, "No, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything." And she says, "Silence is the point of it. Like you don't have to implying you don't have to say anything. Just listen. Who cares? He just wants to talk to you." Um, and then, meanwhile, on the ship, a past conversation plays between him and his wife, and it kind of goes back to more of the whole lying part, how he's making these promises but breaking them, right? And he doesn't know why this message is playing. And that's when we also find out that the communications have broken down. So his radio is down, and he can't talk to anyone. He's dead in the water. All he has is Hanoush, basically. Um, and then one of the purple grains from the cloud gets into the ship somehow, and after he's able to shut off the message or whatever, this grain is floating around. And he's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna capture it. This is gonna be cool." So he puts it in a jar, and he's looking at it, and then the grain floats right through the glass, and Hanoush is like, what does he say?
I don't remember.
You can't contain the grain. You can't contain the grain of clouds or whatever. Um, let's see. Communications down. Um, and then we learned that his wife had a miscarriage earlier um, for their first child, and she was like running on the treadmill, and her she started bleeding, and she wanted while Jakob was training, she wanted him to like come home and take care of the child. He's like, no, I can't. This mission is too important. Like he was implying like, oh, now we know what really happened. Why she wants to divorce him. At the beginning it's just like, oh, it's a dick move that you're divorcing your husband. But we even heard a communication from earlier that he was being dismissive and he didn't want to talk about certain things, and he was, kind of mundane towards her and didn't really want to talk to her, even though he was alone in space all by himself. Um, so there's this whole disconnect where he's like, oh, I'll promise I'll always be there for you, and he broke that promise by going into space, and he broke it even more after his wife had the miscarriage, and she didn't want him to go into space. Like she needed him at that time, and he didn't want to be. He was being very selfish, narcissistic, and this realization, um, what's his name, Hanush, realizes this, and he leaves the ship, pissing off. He and well, he doesn't piss him off, um, but Jakob doesn't want Hanush to leave because that's the only thing he has. He's like, I'm lonely. Please don't leave. I'll be better. I promise. Which is, you know, one of his one of his many lies that he tells not only his wife but Hanush with the broken promises. So Hanush leaves. Um, she feels lies, broken promises, narcissist, loneliness. And oh, as he's leaving, he says, "Your loneliness is self-inflicted. You did this to yourself. The reason why you're lonely is because you're pushing other people away." Leaves. Um, then Hanush is able to communicate with his wife through his um, friend from Mission Control. That's what it's called. Through Mission Control, and he goes, and this wife who's taking classes at the coven for the pregnant ladies, and he's like, "Hey, he's not dead, but I need you to listen to him. He wants to talk to you. You don't have to say anything, but just listen." So she reluctantly agrees to this, and he says, "I know I've made mistakes in the past, and it took me forever to realize this. The biggest mistake was leaving you, and coming into space. And she, the whole time, she doesn't say a word. She's still, obviously mad. Hmm. And so he has this whole realization of like, hey, I, I've been an asshole. That's essentially what he's saying. I've been an asshole, and I don't want to be without you. Blah blah blah. And then during the night, Hanush returns in a dream. Oh ho! He returns in a dream, and I think it's when Jakob is a kid and he's talking to his dad, and Hanush is just like there in the room and stuff like that. And so he wakes up. He's like, "Oh, hey, Hanush, you're back. Welcome back." And Hanush realizes like, he's like, "Yeah, if we're going into the cloud, I can't do it alone. So Hanush needs Jakob, and Jakob he needs Hanush, which is the bonding experience he kind of needs um, to uh, redeem himself from all his horrible deeds that he's done. I mean, I suppose they weren't horrible, but they were just like asshole-ish. He's just being an asshole. Um, so at this point, the cloud approaches, um, and Hanush starts to go outside the ship um, because there's bugs all over him. And so this is where we find out the thing that destroyed his planet was some kind form of parasite, where I guess they go into the host and then they bugs eventually eat you from the inside out. I guess that's what it is. Um, and so he's outside of the ship, and then Jakob is like, "No, you can't do this. I need to protect you." So he grabs a, what was it, Bugma,
Boomba.
Bomba, 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 Bomba. Grabs a thing of Bomba,
The pesticide.
yeah, the pesticide thing, and he's like, "I'm leaving the ship. Screw you, mission control. But at this point, they're trying to catch the particles, the cloud particles, and we know that that's impossible. But mission control is like, you need to board. You need to board. There's something bad going on, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going after Hanush." So he grabs the Bomba stuff, goes outside the ship, and he starts spraying it, and he starts like flying around everywhere. He can't stop. He actually lands on Hanush, and he gives Hanush like a giant hug, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, we're together," blah blah blah. And I guess he gets some of the pesticides on Hanush, but I don't think it's enough. Um, but they are able to float together into the cloud, and they see everything. He describes it as all the vibrations everywhere that have ever happened are in here. So it's the beginning and the end, and he can see his whole life basically. Um, and it's something you gotta see to understand. You can't really explain it. There's a whole bunch of like weird shapes and stuff like floating around in this cloud. Um, that's all. That's the only way you can describe it, and I can't describe it unless you can describe it.
No.
Yeah, it's impossible. Um, let's see. Anush brings, yep, in a cloud, and then Hanush dies. The bugs finish him off finally, and he kind of has this. Jakob then has this connection with his wife on Earth, and they can like see each other's memories, I guess, and they have this loving connection, and Jakob finally realizes like who he is and where he's gone wrong in his life, and this is the full arc of the redemption, basically, especially after Hanush dies, um, and then he arrives. The cloud kind of opens up, and on the other side is another uh, station, and we learn a few minutes later that it's the Korean station that was right behind them, and they had a much bigger crew, and they save him, and then the movie basically ends. So not it wasn't the movie I was thinking it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like at least a little comedy in there. I thought it was gonna be more adventure-y, but it turns out it was just philosophic and just dramatic. That was pretty much it. Um, so, I mean, I
Which Adam Sandler has proved before he can do drama.
yeah,
Like with Uncut Gems, that was really good.
yeah. He was. It wasn't bad. I like the story and I like the backstory of the spider um, thing or whatever it's called.
Never gave his race a name.
Yeah. I suppose he didn't need to. It was just right anyways. Um,
The six-eyed spider race.
yeah. The six-eyed spider. Um, yeah. There's nothing much to say. It's one of those things you have to like watch yourself and kind of make up your own mind. But I give it like 3.5 stars out of 5. It was kind of boring at parts.
Mm.
Just floating through space, and I thought it would be like the dramatic parts would be a little more dramatic, and I thought it would be like more life and death kind of in space thing where more things would go wrong because there's a lot of things that could potentially go wrong, but they just didn't. And anything that did go wrong was a minor inconvenience, basically. Like his communications went out, or his bathroom thing kept making sound, keeping him up, and they couldn't fix it because they had to keep the cameras on. They wanted the cameras on because they wanted to show the people on Earth like what the cloud look like up close, all that stuff. So yeah, there was like no threat of death. Like even at the end when he's chasing after um, Hanush, and he gets communication from Mission Control saying, "Oh, you need to get out of there. There's bad things happening." There was no tension of like, "Oh crap, he might die if he goes out there." It was all like calm and like, "Okay, yeah, whatever. You're probably gonna live." There's no tension there. So, but I don't think that's what the director and the story was about and what they were going for. They were more going for the whole philosophical thing of, hey, this is my friend. I'm gonna follow him no matter what. And I guess the feeling you get when you're trying to save a friend is nothing can scare me right now. Like fuck it. Like you turn into Upham from Saving Private Ryan, where it isn't until the end he gets that courage and he realizes like, shit, this Nazi dude is a piece of shit, and he didn't turn himself in. But yeah, I give it 3.5 stars. It's definitely something to watch just for the background of the alien. That was really cool. But do you have any thoughts?
So you basically said it.
I said everything.
I'd,
What do you
I'd,
give it out of 5?
I'd say probably like a 3.
3?
Just
Okay.
because of all the parts that seem to kind of drag on.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't feel like it gets. The first 10 minutes were good, like setting it up, and it was like, ooh, they're in the deep space. Ooh, something bad is gonna happen. But like the whole time, I thought the spider was gonna try to chomp on his head, and I thought it was gonna be like the spider trying to win its way, win Jakob's favor over, and to eventually try to eat him, something like that. I thought it was gonna be like that, but no, wasn't that. But I said at the beginning it was based off a book. I don't know what book, but it was a book. But it was cool to see. Also cool to see the Americans not in it at all. Um, Gives it a different tone. Usually when space is involved, there's always a United States flag, but it was Czechoslovakia and Korea. So that was just different and new to see. It was nice to see. But yeah, 3.5 stars, and he's got 3. So, would I watch it again? Hell no. Not unless you paid me. But I didn't feel like it was a waste of time either. Like it was something like, okay, this is something that
It's based on Spaceman of Bohemia.
Bohemia. All right. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Um,
In the
and
book, it's
comment.
near Venus, not Jupiter.
Oh,
Uh, Befriends a giant arachnid named Hunus. So it's basically the same.
name hummus.
Hanus.
Oh,
Hanus. So it's basically the same thing.
I like hummus. Those kind of dips make my tummy feel real good. All right, cool. Well, I'm Skinner, and that's.
Derp derp.
Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.
And help us
Or,
towards that like goal.
yeah, well, I mean, don't like. You can unlike stuff or dislike.
Or comment if you want him to watch a detective show instead.
Yeah, do that. Oh, please do that. Yeah, I totally want that. Oh.
I'd actually like Detective Conan over One Piece.
It's up to you guys to comment or whatnot. Do it or not. I don't really care. Okay, we gotta end this. We need an outro. We don't we're still newish, so we don't have an outro yet. So I don't know, suck it.